Hi, and welcome back to another episode of Alfie's Body Transformation Journey. This episode will have the usual way that we structure it, which is food and gym first, followed by the weigh-in, and then with the mental health stuff. Again, don't have a great deal with the mental health apart from sort of day-to-day stuff. So, as I mentioned last week when I went through the cold showers and the physiological effects it has on the body, this week I'm actually going to go through CBT or cognitive behavioural therapy and go into that a little bit on what it's used to help and what it actually is and how it helps. So yeah, I'll be going through that a little bit in the mental health side. For those of you that are in a position where you're going through a tough time and you're on that part where you're thinking about therapy, this might help you understand a little bit more some of the techniques that they use. It will be in sort of layman's terms and at sort of a very basic level, but it'll just give you a little bit of an overview. So yeah, enjoy the episode. So the first thing that we're going to go through is the food and the gym. So up to this week, I've been following the same food plan that a friend of mine gave me, which is around 1,800 calories a day, 3 meals a day, and it is a lot of food. Sometimes I don't even know how I'm going to finish it all through that 8-hour period because I'm doing the intermittent fast with it. So how's that going? Yeah, it's going good actually. It's a lot easier to prepare your food as well when you know exactly what you're going to be eating, and it does keep you full up for quite a long time. And I'm not really struggling with the intermittent fast part of it, purely because I'm so full up by the time that I finish my last meal that it actually leads me through to my next run anyway. So, diet's going quite well. Only difference is this weekend I had some beers and some fast food and stuff because of the Tyson Fury fight. I was staying up till sort of 4:30, 5 in the morning to watch it and wanted to have a few beers to sort of get into the fighting spirit with it, which was a great fight, by the way, and an amazing win by Tyson Fury, who is doing great things for mental health in the UK. So really glad to see him get some success and somebody who went through such a tough time to get back to the top and show people that, you just got to pick yourself up and fight another round. And that's exactly what he's done. And you can be as successful as you want to be, just like he has proved. So congrats to Tyson Fury on that. For the gym, I've still been going to the gym. I've actually started a CrossFit gym. As I mentioned, I was going to be trying it out. We're just going through the Olympic weightlifting training to start with. Make sure that we have the correct techniques before we actually start working out with weighted bars and stuff like that. Because the reason that some people dislike CrossFit is because of injuries and stuff, which isn't necessarily true. It just depends on your trainers. If your trainers can teach you to do stuff safely, which ours clearly do, they force you to have to do this course on basic technique to make sure that you can do things in a safe manner to reduce the chances of injury going forward. So hopefully next week I'll be able to go into a little bit more detail about what we're doing with that. So yeah, it's been great. I love the community spirit of CrossFit. It's amazing. Even if just sort of walking through them doors, pretty much every single person that is walking in for their classes, they'd say hello and ask how you're doing and things like that. I just don't get that sort of feeling in a normal gym. Everyone's sort of out for themselves, but in CrossFit it seems to be very much team spirit and a community, which is exactly what I was looking for. So really happy with that. Okay, now for the weigh-in. The weigh-in was a weird one this week. I have somehow, since Saturday, put on 2.5 kilograms. It's actually closer to 3 kilograms. If I was to work that out in the sense of calories, that is around 21,000 calories over that I would have had to have. Now, assuming it was only Saturday that I was had a bit of a cheat day, it's not really possible. If I took it as a can of beer, for example, I'd have had to have 97 cans of beer. 97. I had 8. So, it's just, I can't explain the weight gain. I imagine that, I know that I've read things where after alcohol use, the water starts to be stored in the body. So maybe it's water weight, but I can tell immediately that it's definitely not fat gain. It's definitely not muscle gain either. That's way too high. So it's just some strange anomaly of fluctuation. I'm sure it'll go down by next week again. I've showed you before not to look too far into the weight changes and look maybe more into measurements or body fat percentages and stuff like that. So I've done my measurements, and my measurements are the same as they were 2 weeks ago, so I definitely haven't gained that weight around my waist or anything. So yeah, it's a weird one. Just don't rely too heavily on your scales. So many different factors that can go into that, especially for women. I know that if it's going around your time of the month, then your body can store a lot more water and your weight fluctuates quite rapidly around that time due to the hormone changes. So just don't concentrate too hard on the weight that you're going to be. The reason that I do concentrate on the weight I'm trying to get down to 80 is because it puts me at a BMI that I am sort of looking at achieving. If I get to say 85 and I really like the way my body's looking, then I'll stop at 85. It's not that I want to be 80 kilos for the sake of being 80 kilos. It's just that's the figure that I've picked would be a healthy weight or healthy looking weight for somebody of my height. So yeah, weird week. You can see by the pictures as well, it doesn't really look like I've gained loads since last week. So yeah, I'm not 100% sure exactly what's happened there, but not going to let it sort of get to me too much. Happy with the weight loss that I've had so far. Happy with the way my body's starting to look. I'm just going to keep plodding on. Hopefully the CrossFit can really push me to the next level on that as well. So lastly is the mental health side of it. What have I had happen? So I have had trouble sleeping this week. Really bad trouble sleeping. One of the things that was keeping me awake was the sort of fear that the stuff that I'm working towards is the wrong things to be working towards. Your voice will always tell you that. If you're looking to change something big in your life, your voice will always tell you that it's dangerous. It will always try and make you play safe. It will try and make you play comfortable. Anything that risks your body is adverse to, your mind is adverse to, because that's how humans survive. But you have to take risks if you want something great to happen. Sometimes you have to take a step back to take 2 steps forward. So it's sort of working that through in my mind and starting to move on from that. So that's positive. I'm glad about that. Yeah, other than that, I've not had too many problems. The sleep's the big one. And the thought process towards not getting that sleep is the thing that's sort of affecting me. I think it might be because I've been off work for a little while now and I've got another week off and I'm just getting a bit stir crazy. A lot of people are at work or busy and stuff like that. I haven't really had a lot of contact with other people during the time. So, I've just been doing my course, going to the gym, and that's about it. So it's just getting a bit stir crazy in the house. I think I need a bit of structure back. So for that reason, I'm actually kind of looking forward to going home. This week I'm going to go see my brother, which is going to be great, and my nephews as well. So yeah, other than that, it's going well for me mental health wise. So what did I say I was going to do? I said I was going to go through some stuff to do with CBT, otherwise known as cognitive behavioural therapy. So this is a type of therapy that they use to help you change the way you think about things. It does help many health problems, but the thing it's used for most is depression and anxiety. So it's, take a little quote here, it's the thoughts, feelings, actions, and physical sensations are interconnected, and negative thoughts can trap you into a vicious cycle. So what does CBT try and do? It tries to make you realise when then cycles are coming and give you techniques and tools on how to get out of them cycles, which is exactly why it helps a lot with things like anxiety or depression, because that's all they are vicious cycles. There is no way of magically getting out of them. They're just happening, and it seems like it's out of our control. But I can tell you through doing therapy and knowing others that have, that it's more in your control than you think. There is a degree of the way you feel not necessarily being in your control, but there are ways to push through it and move past it. So CBT helps break down larger problems into smaller ones. So if there's a big problem, you'll worry about the thing as a whole, but there may be things in there that you don't have to worry about or shouldn't need to worry about right now. So it's about learning how to dissect it a little bit, get rid of the stuff you don't need and make that big problem a smaller problem that's a lot easier to deal with. Sometimes when we have such a big problem, it can just be overwhelming to even consider starting to try and tackle it. Whereas if we can take it into smaller pieces and start dealing with the smaller pieces around it, it becomes a lot easier to deal with the large problem. So one way that CBT differs from most other therapies is it deals with the present, the right now, the things that you're feeling today. It doesn't go back and deal with your childhood. It doesn't go back and deal with your past traumas or any of those things that may be where the underlying mental health issue is stemming from. This literally just helps you to live more comfortably day to day. It does work. I know people that it's worked on, but one thing to be mindful of is it may not be dealing with the actual mental health problem that's lying underneath. For that, you may need a different type of therapy, which I'll go through in these episodes on which therapies do what. Again, very sort of layman's terms, very high level stuff. So some of the illnesses that CBT is actually used to help is bipolar disorder, which was formerly known as manic depression, borderline personality disorders, eating disorders, including anorexia and bulimia, obsessive compulsive disorder, which is OCD. Just a quick one on that. I know a lot of people think that they have OCD because they clean a lot or something along them lines. OCD is not that. It can manifest in them ways, but the odds are that if it's just making sure things are clean and tidy, it's more to do just with personal preference than OCD. OCD can be a debilitating disease that stops people even being able to live their proper lives from day to day. It can get extremely serious, and it's just mindful to be careful about throwing out that you have that when in conversations with people you don't know, because if they actually had that disease, you know, it's not really the same thing. That can be very frustrating for them to be associated that way. So more of them: panic disorders, phobias, PTSD is a post-traumatic stress disorder. A lot of people can think that the PTSD is only for people that have seen things that are really horrific, like murders or people that have been to war and that sort of thing, but you can get something called childhood PTSD, and that's to do with the environment that you were brought up in. Something that I've been told by my therapist that I have, and it can have long-lasting effects on you and the way that you react to certain things. So if you don't think you have it purely because you haven't been in what you see as stereotypically traumatic, stressful situations, it doesn't mean you don't. There is something called the ACE test, the ACE test, that can give you an indication as whether you should contact professional help regarding the fact that you may have the the PTSD, and you can get them free online. So just type in ACE test on Google and it will show you some of them, and you'll be able to have a look at where you stack up on that. It doesn't mean you have it if you score however many on that test. It's just an indicator that means that you may need to speak to a professional, a way to move forward to find out if you do have that. Another one is psychosis, another one's schizophrenia, another one is sleeping problems, including insomnia. Another one is alcohol problems, or problems that stem from alcohol use. So there are a variety of different illnesses that it covers. As I said, it is mostly used towards depression and anxiety though. But there are other ways it can help. So I'm going to go through some advantages and disadvantages of this. So some of the advantages are, it may help you if meds have failed to help you. So meds are there to numb or get rid of pain or thoughts or whatever they may do. But this actually teaches you how to get over them or improve them. So if meds are failing, if you're on meds and you don't think it's working, then something along the lines of therapy would be helpful. It can be completed in a small amount of time, so it's normally between 5 and 10 weeks, or 5 and 10 sessions that you do your CBT training. So if you're really looking to make some quick changes, then it's a good way to go. And it does teach you tools that you can use in your everyday life. So, it is really useful. It's not something that you're just going to learn once and then never use. You can use this every single day of your life, which is really helpful. Some of the disadvantages. Now, I'm not sure this first one would be a disadvantage, but it's something that you have to fully commit to. You have to want to go through this process, and you have to give your everything to make sure you can make the most of the opportunity of going through this process, which may take a lot of your energy. Another thing is it can take up a lot of your time. I know that I said it can be quick, and I mean in terms of from start to finish it can be quite a quick process, but there's stuff that you have to practice, there's stuff that you have to learn, there's bits of homework to do and stuff, and it can take up a lot of time within that short period of time that you're doing it, which is why you need that sort of level of commitment to make sure that you are going to push through and do what you need to do. Another disadvantage, again, I'm not sure this is a disadvantage, basically it's going to make you stand up to your fears and anxieties. It's kind of going to make you look them in the eye and overcome them. At the very start, this can be a very stressful process, having to actually face your fears, face your anxieties. But for us to grow, there's always going to be some uncomfort. It's just like growing pains. Sometimes you just need to go through that a little bit of pain so you can push through and become healthy or become better. And it doesn't necessarily deal with the root cause, as I mentioned earlier. If there is an underlying mental health problem, it may not tackle that for you. So yeah, that's one thing that you need to keep in mind as well. So how do you get CBT? So there's a few ways you can do it. You can either go privately, you can just type it in, and Google will show you 1,001 different people that will be qualified to do that. If money is an issue, you can go through the NHS. You self-refer. You don't have to go through your doctor. You can go on the NHS website. It will put you through to the registered bodies that support the NHS. You can self-refer yourself to a psychologist who will then do an assessment to find out what type of therapy you need, if any, and try and find you a therapist that's going to suit your needs. Other than that, you can contact Mind UK, just like I did. Now, I'm not getting CBT, but that's mostly because when I had my assessment, they deemed me needing a different type of therapy, which I'll go through on another episode. But yeah, you can do it through Mind UK, you can do it through the NHS by self-referring, or you can do it through any licensed provider of that therapy online. So there's plenty of ways to get help. You need to want to get help. You need to recognise that you need help, which isn't always easy to do. If you're on the fence about it, then just contact me and I'll be more than happy to help you find the help that you want or need. It's scary at first, but with every day that you go through the therapy, every time you learn a bit more about yourself, the world becomes a little bit less scary and your life becomes a little bit less scary, and you start to look forward to things that you might not be looking forward to now, but it does get better and it can get better. You just have to value yourself enough to recognise that you deserve help. You deserve to be healthy just like everybody else. And with that, this is the end of the episode. Again, please reach out. If not to me, just reach out to somebody and let them know what you're going through, because a problem shared is a lot easier than a problem held on your own. But yeah, I will speak to you all next week and have a great week.